I was telling my mom the other day that she should embrace her mistakes, so she gave me a hug. Ever since Max, Angie, Travis, Art went to Vegas and Nate went to Spain, everybody's been telling me, looks like I'm getting kind of fat. Well, that's because I have a lot on my plate.
That's good. Sounds good.
I'm going to give you a hug too, by the way, Kyle.
What?
I'm going to give you a hug too, by the way.
It's funny.
I'm going to embrace my mistakes too.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
You cursed yourself. All right. One time I gave my grandpa $20 to ride on his stair lift. He never took me up on it.
Oh my God.
One time I got into a brutal fight when I was on the toilet. Let me tell you, shit went down. Josh, he's always saying things like, when one door closes, another door opens. I mean, he's a great guy, not a good cabinet maker.
Oh.
Stephanie over here replaced all the labels on our spices. I warned her. Now the time is coming.
Oh.
That's good.
That's leather and sounds like a sneeze. Achoo. A homeless, naked man wrapped in cellophane walked into a mental institution. The doctor came up to him and said, "I can clearly see your nuts." That's all I got.
You want me to keep them on spotlight or?
No.
That's weird.
Okay. Oh gosh, I don't know. Remove all spotlights. Okay, here we go. Okay, guys, so here we are from Las Vegas. Thanks for bearing with us with all the little hiccups here. But here we are. We're going to turn it over to. You ready to just go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go for it.
My father was a pretty. You take me off and put them on the screen of the people.
Just the gallery.
Yeah. All right, that's better. So my father, he was a smart man when it came to addiction. He didn't suffer from it himself, but and is the sound okay, by the way? Everyone good? He had a saying that he always said to me. It was his way of calling me out, and he said, "Oh, mysteries." He would say, he said, if there's mysteries in a household or mysteries in a family, it always equals drug use. And he was pretty accurate in that. We've been talking here today about recovery, the word recovery, and what exactly are we recovering from? And pretty much people do understand that if you just remove drugs and alcohol, that's not recovery, that's abstinence. But it takes some type of work to actually recover. And then the question bears, what is it that these families on here, and if this is a family recovery program, which it is, we need to all kind of agree on and look at the possibility about what we're recovering from. What is our family and what is my addict, or what is it that we actually need to change? What is it that we actually need to get down to and see what's wrong? And, huh?
This TV.
Hold on. And so, I think that what we are actually recovering from, and I think what it is that would be a pathway out of where we've gotten to as families and with our loved ones and as a unit, is that we're recovering from the dishonesty, and we're recovering from the lies. We're recovering from, and you know, everyone in addiction, the whole family has to participate in this lie, and the lie has to be, it can be on one of three levels, the lies. I'm going to be quoting a little bit of Brad Blanton's book, Radical Honesty, today. If you ever want to check it out, we'll put it in the notes. But in his book, Radical Honesty, he says that there's three levels of honesty. And the first level of honesty, and each one of these, I'm going to go and kind of go down the road and show my take on where we went with these levels of honesty as families and as a unit. And the first level that we can go to is, as a family, can we agree upon what happened? So the first dishonesty is that we're recovering from is we have, you guys, it's really mind-blowing listening to the different perspectives. It's mind-blowing listening to the different perspectives. You know, my sister and I have a different experience growing up. And I always believed that my father was a certain type of person. I had the utmost respect for my father. And I actually believed, until recently, well, maybe still I believe it, but I believed that my father was perfect. I believed he was a perfect man. And my sister had a disagreement about that. She didn't agree. She had a different experience with my father. And so in order for me and her to connect with each other, we had to sit and discuss our perspectives. She had to tell me her experience with my father, and I had to tell her my experience with my father. And we had to be open to the possibility that the way we both saw it was absolutely maybe wrong. That maybe the way we saw it was just the way we saw it, and it wasn't something that has to be, it's the truth. And so what we hear and see here is when we speak to the family and we speak to the addict, there is no reality agreement. Very, very, very tough. And we haven't yet reached this first level of honesty as a family in a lot of cases where there's a reality agreement about the simple facts of what happened, about who did what to who, and about where someone was, and about where parents were when the kid was growing up, and on and on and on. And so the first pathway to recovery then would be if we could get together as a family and discuss honestly what it is that happened and come to some agreement. And the way that you have to do that, you have to be open to the possibility that, you know, if 10 people are in a room, an event goes down, you will have 10 different opinions of what happened. You'll have 10 different perspectives. And so we have to listen to these perspectives in order to get down to some kind of first level truth. Just if we could simply be honest about what happens. And then the second level of truth, a deeper level of truth, is when we begin to share our thoughts and our feelings. And we begin to do it honestly. And as a family, we begin to share these thoughts and feelings. And so remember, I said we're recovering from dishonesty, and everyone has to participate in the dishonesty. And I want you to know that each one of our families that are on here at some point began to be dishonest with each other. And that meant that we no longer share our thoughts and feelings about each other because we can't, because something's happened, because either now the addict is too defensive and we've now backed off because we're the type of people that can't confront, or we begin to, you know, I've never met a codependent person. Well, I'll say it first. I'll say my friend Ben had an anger problem. He told me that going in. We were in ninth grade together, and Ben came up to me and he said, "I have a problem with anger. I have an anger problem." And you know what he did on Friday night was he'd get drunk, and after the game he would get in a fight and get real angry. And he seemed to always act out his anger problem. But what that youngster Ben didn't know at 15 is that actually his anger was his solution. That actually the truth is that he didn't have an anger problem. He had an anger solution, and the solution was for him to get, validated. So and like I said, I've never met a codependent that doesn't tell me that. And they introduce themselves, and I'm open to possibility there is codependency, so I understand that. But I want people to understand that maybe, possibly look at it the way I'm asking, and to look at it and say, I like being a codependent. In fact, that's what I do. And I've never met an anger person without an anger problem, and I've never met a codependent that doesn't do codependency, that doesn't do that stuff. So as we get to this second level of sharing our thoughts and sharing our feelings, if we can get there, and remember, that has to come after the first level where we agree on what happened. We agree on some type of reality agreement about perspectives. And then we reach this third level. In the third level, I want you to hear how Brad Blanton explains it. He said the third level of honesty is about demythologizing yourself. Demythologizing yourself. It's about admitting you don't really know who you are, and that you developed your act in order to appear not lost. It's a broader level of truth telling that exposes the whole game. So I want to read it again because I suck at it. The third level of honesty is about demythologizing ourselves. It's about admitting you don't really know who you are, and that you developed your act. You developed your act, the act of being a codependent, the act of being a man with an anger problem. You developed your act in order to appear not lost. In other words, in order to survive, I've created this way of being that now helps me participate in this line game of addiction. And I am a full-on participant as a codependent, and I am addicted now to this act and the payoff. So when we then look, as he's saying here, don't know who we are, and we've developed this act. And so we see it on all sides here. I see, and I'm asking the kids here, and I'm asking the people in the program to be open to the possibility that your diagnosis, that whatever ails you might not be your problem. That in actuality, if you get honest with yourself, your ailments are your solution. They're how you survive. They're how you get known to the world. They're what you present to people. And so we see that, and I'm asking, okay, but I suffer from this. This third level of honesty is what we actually get to a point where we can actually recover. When we get to this third level where we can look at our act and look at our behavior and get honest with ourselves about why we're doing it. Get honest with ourselves about the motivation. So in order for addiction to survive, and I want you to know that the same time that truth shows up in your family, truth will be presenting itself at the same time that recovery starts. So I want you to see that. I want you to see that until recovery starts, truth never starts. And as recovery starts, the truth begins to be revealed. A codependent will get honest about the payoffs to being a codependent. The codependent will get real honest about the fact that I get such glory from saving my loved ones that I might need them sick. And then I'll stop being a codependent at the minute it no longer pays me. At the minute I don't feel that glory. The minute that I come to some sort of bottom that I realize that, oh man, I was a codependent, but now I've realized the truth about myself, that I was doing it for my own glory and that it wasn't helping. And then there it is. So as you recover from codependency, and if Ben, my friend, could get to the place where he was honest enough with himself, down to the bone of truth, where he was able to say to himself, I don't have an anger problem. I absolutely love that I get angry. It's what I'm known for. It's what they talk about me Monday at school. They talk about how I punched the kid from the other school. They talk about how a badass I am. They talked about how I was dominant. And it's not my problem. So Ben would then be recovering from his anger problem at the moment the truth showed up. And we can recover from whatever it is, obsessive, compulsive, or whatever disorder that ails us. And what Brad Blanton is saying in his book is there is no substitute for truth. And this is a man that's done therapy for years. And he said, therapy is just about one thing, truth. And it's about someone that can present to someone and get them to get to a place where they can be honest with themselves. And then after they're honest with themselves, be honest with the people around them. And this is what we are recovering from, dishonesty, full-on participation in the game, and looking at it as a game. And look at the game that we're playing. You are sick, I will save you. There's a game. I am sick, I need saving. There's a game. I have this disorder, but because I have this disorder and this diagnosis came true, and I'm not saying it's true for everyone. I'm saying look at the possibility that your disorder or your diagnosis might be your solution for an identity, your solution for who you are, your solution for what you do and what you don't have to do. And it's real easy and convenient for me to put this forth and say, I have this diagnosis, therefore I behave this way. This is how I behave. Don't hold me accountable. It's my diagnosis. And again, getting to the place where people begin to, as we recover, as we transform, the only thing that's really coming about is truth is becoming abundant. That, and I still have a fear to this day, as I went on for 12 years, learning how I lied to myself, discovering once again I was lying to myself, still doing it with food, still lying to myself with, rationalizations about what I'm going to do tomorrow, still lying to myself. As I still do that, I even get very scared and fearful talking to people about lying to themselves, because the thing about lying to ourselves is only later do we find out we were lying to ourselves. Only later do we discover that the truth is I was lying to myself. And you'll hear people that recover and they'll say that. They'll say the truth is I was lying to myself. The truth is it was all an act. And now that I've seen that it no longer plays, and so all of this dysfunction that we have are all maybe not dysfunctions. Maybe none of it is dysfunction. Maybe all it is what happens when addiction shows up and shows these truths about ourselves, and then how people survive it. And that's what we do as people. We're trying to survive it. So the codependents are trying to survive. Young Ben was trying to survive, trying to be known, trying to have an identity. We're always trying. That's what we develop, and we get paid for these behaviors. Every behavior we do has a payoff. If it didn't have a payoff, we wouldn't do it. So when I want to get truthful with myself and I have to understand why I do what I do, I have to look at how I get paid for what I do. I have to look at the payoff. I have to look at what's happening. So again, can we get to, and I encourage families to get on the phone. I encourage families to be connecting, because I will challenge you and say, as the families that I'm listening to, the first level of truth has not been achieved. There, in most cases, we haven't even got to this first level where we can honestly, openly talk about our past to somebody else, where two people could share their family's past to some other person and have both people say the same thing. or both people not just outright fight, but rather when we put 3-4 family members in a room, a fight begins. And I want you to look at what you're recovering from, because the fight begins because there's no reality agreement about what happened yet. Some people feel wronged. Some people feel hurt. Some people say you did this. And the person that said that the people are saying did this always denied that they did this. No, I didn't. That's not how it went down. And we haven't even gotten there. So in order for this full family recovery, we have to reach this first level. And after we reach that first level, we can then communicate in a way where we can actually go ahead with people. And like I say all the time, if I am fully connected to another human being, that means I can share 100% of my thoughts with that other human being. Now, if I want to be 90% connected with another human being, I will share 90% of my thoughts with another human being. If I want to be 50% connected, I will share 50% of my thoughts. And I'm only connected to that other human being based on the percentage of thoughts that I'm willing to share. So if we want this full-on family connection, we have to be able to share our thoughts and feelings. And then the other person doesn't need to get defensive, or we don't need to defend ourselves. And we have to get in a place where we can calmly sit and do that. And now if you want to really go to the top, and you want to be able to actually live a life that you feel is transparent, that you feel is real, we have to get to this third level. And what they call it in the forum, Brad Blanton calls it getting honest with our act. And in the forum, they call it getting authentic about our inauthenticities. Getting authentic about what I'm presenting to the world and how it's a fraud. How what I'm presenting to the world might not be my problems, but I'm presenting those to the world as a solution. I'm telling these people, this is my ailment. Why? Why? And asking yourself, and I'm asking people to, if you can get to that third level, well, you have a chance. You have a chance at living a life that is true to you. That's your life. You no longer put on the front for people. And maybe getting to a place where people start understanding this level of honesty, this third level of being honest with myself, and how tricky it is, and how detailed it is, and how it's a never-ending journey of constant honesty with the people around me. You got to keep up, man. The thoughts are coming. The lies are coming. The things that bug you are coming. And if you're not keeping up with that on the second level, if you're not keeping up with, wow, that comment you just made bugged me. Now, not only are you not dealing with the past, but now you're building up more stuff. So you got to keep up with this second level of honesty. You got to keep up with this first level of honesty. And you got to keep up with this third level of honesty. And maybe you can get to the point where when you're lying to yourself, you at least know it. Like I'm pretty good now. I lie to myself, but like I know I'm doing it. It's how I survive. It's how I eat the chocolate cake on a Friday night. It's how it's what I do to continue to live unhealthy. You know, but I know I'm lying to myself. You know, but one thing I couldn't no longer lie to myself about. The truth had to come up about my drug use. And I don't lie to myself about that anymore. I don't rationalize a day of drug use thinking that I could do it for any period of time. And that means that it ends. So again, I want you to see that the start of recovery and the end of addiction seems to coincide with the appearance of truth. That right there, it is. And then this truth grows deeper and deeper and deeper as it goes on. And it starts with the first level, and then the second level, and then the third level, and getting to the place. And on the third level, we each individually begin to transform. We each individually begin to look at ourselves. And you know what admitting that we are lying to ourselves is humility. Having enough humility that when I'm called out for things, And I want to say, if you have any ailments on here, disorders, diagnoses, and what I'm saying bugs you, that it might be a fraud. And if it bugs you, I will say that's another indicator that it's a fraud. So I'm asking to look closer. If your ailments, and I say that maybe your ailments are an act and they're actually your solution and that bugs you, you want to take a look at that. You want to take a look at why that would bug you. And you got to take a look at what would it mean if my ailment wasn't, and my disorder, my diagnosis, what would it mean if it wasn't true? What would it mean if my diagnosis wasn't real? And I would suggest that there's people that would say, it doesn't, to me, it would mean the end of my survival. To me, it would mean the end of who I am. And I wouldn't know who to be after that. Well, that would take a lot of honesty to say that. And so I woke up this morning and that just keeps coming true for me. What is it that I'm recovering from? I have people here in this house and they're recovering. And I had to kind of get that, wrap my arms around what that meant. And, this is where it came to, is that we're recovering from the lies. We're recovering from lying about what happened. We're recovering from other people lying about what happened. We're recovering from our lies to ourselves. We're recovering from our rationalizational lies, how we rationalize continuing to be a codependent or continuing to be a drug user. And that's what we're recovering from. And getting to this third level would mean full recovery. We can get ourselves to a place where we stop lying to ourselves about our ailments, stop lying to ourselves about our disorders, stop lying to ourselves that we can use drugs, stop lying to ourselves that we can eat bad and get back on track tomorrow. And this would equal the same time this truth, the stopping of the lies, would equal the same time that I begin to recover. And so hopefully there it is. There it is, what we're not only recovering from the lies, we're recovering from the resentment from the lies. We're recovering from the hurt. A lot of people on here, a lot of families, some of your problem is that that addiction shows up as a family member and as an addict, and it presents the truth to ourselves. It presents this mirror. And by the truth, I don't mean that we're telling the truth yet. What I mean is, though, it plays upon every one of our weaknesses. It gets us to a point where everything that we lacking, everything that we haven't been good in our relationships with other people really gets amplified. It gets to a place where a lot of people on here are nice. A lot of people on here are non-confrontational, and then a lot of people are confrontational. So it shows this truth about myself. I'm either confrontational or I'm non-confrontational. Okay, well, let's see. So how does somebody that's non-confrontational confront and begin to get the truth about themselves? And how does somebody that is confrontational begin to confront without righteousness? See, the problem with confrontation isn't confronting. The problem with being confrontational is the righteousness that stands behind it. So gaining the ability to confront situations and be honest with people about the second level, about how I think and how I feel, have to do with eliminating the righteousness when I confront. And there's work. Everyone can confront with righteousness. Everyone can brutally tell the truth and be mean. But have I developed something with me that I can tell the truth and have it not be hurtful? And I don't sound superior and I don't sound smug, but I actually confront the situation. So as you see, this truth, and then that would have to be someone on here saying, yeah, that's me. I'm a confrontational person and I do it with a lot of righteousness. There's a lot of anger behind it. Well, if you can say that, there's a payoff to that. So why does somebody that's confrontational do it? Why do they do it? Well, the reason they do it is because there's a payoff to everything we do. And just the same as the codependent is insecure and needs the approval of the other person and the heroics to make themselves feel better, the insecure, confrontational, righteous person is the same insecure. So their insecurities drive them to vent, drive them, and the righteousness is the antidote for the insecurity. If I am feeling insecure and I'm feeling unsafe about a situation, I get real righteous. I get real right. And I tell everyone how smart I am and tell everyone how it should be. And so someone would have to get truthful with themselves about why they do that. And in each one of these cases, I can't see recovery without truth. I can't see it happening. I can't see all three. I can't see it without all three levels in play. The one level where we just talk about what happened and we can be honest. And by being honest, it means not righteous. It means my way isn't the right way. I'm going to hear your perspective. And then getting to the second level where we can get to a place where we can just talk to each other again. Where when I say something that I'm thinking to you, you don't blow up at me. You don't defend yourself. You don't knock me down. And getting to the place where I can say things to people without being righteous. And then getting to this third level where I stop lying to myself. I stop rationalizing my behavior. I stop with my act. I realize no matter what's going on in all of our experience, everything going on, whatever ails you, whatever's going on, we all have one thing in common. This singular moment. That's it. And everything else is bullshit. Everything else is just nothing. The only thing that matters is us in this moment. Everything else isn't real. And so you realize that someday, and you go, what I need to do is connect more with this moment and less with the bullshit of me. And sitting with our stuff, I've found as I've done this more and more in years and years, very difficult for a person to let go of their problems. It doesn't seem that they want them gone. That is a very suspicious thing because you have to look at whether that's a problem. If I went to a bank and I had a hostage and I told the officers that were going to shoot me, I have a problem. And I wrap my arms around that hostage. I do not, and I tell them, yeah, I have a problem here. Do I? Or is that hostage my solution? And if I'm holding on to that hostage, and that's my solution, how can I then ever let go of it? And so we have to look at our problems in this suspicious manner. That if they were actually our problems, we would be actively working them and we would be actively changing. But if they're our solution, then they've been with us for a while and we're holding them close. And they're right near. And those solutions, those diagnoses, and those ailments begin to give us complete comfort in who we are. Begin to like those things. Comfortable with this. What do they say? The enemy I know is better than the enemy I don't know. Something like that.
So the devil I know.
The devil I know. So these problems become the devil we know. And they're safe. And it gets me through the day. It gets me out of the day. It allows me to isolate, allows me to do what I need to do. So, we begin to blast honesty as far as we can blast it. And we try to the best of our ability to be honest with each other without righteousness. Try to eliminate that side of it. Try to be honest with each other without the anger. Try to get to a place where we can say a truth. They can say a truth. We find some common ground that we can stand on in order to go forward to the second level. To find some common ground that we can stand on to then say, well, now let's progress. Now let's begin to share our thoughts with each other. Now let's begin to say how we feel when the other person does something. Now we're connecting. And the more thoughts we can share without the defensiveness, without the righteousness, without the brutal justifications. I remember I was pretty brutal. I used to have my girlfriends used to tell me, Art, this is how you make me feel. And my response was pretty good. I used to say, no, it isn't. They would tell me that's how I make them feel. And I would say, no, that's not true. Now you find how that could be. They're telling me how they feel. And I'm saying, no, that's not true. I don't think I was listening. So the ability then to, as families, to listen to the other person say how they feel and actually believe that that's how they feel. That would be something. Okay, I'll take some questions or comments or shares or honesty. You ever see the movie Almost Famous? If you've seen the movie Almost Famous, the plane is going down, they're a band and they're on the road, and the plane begins to descend and crash. And so they all get very honest with each other about what's been going on. And who's been sleeping with who's slept with each other's wife, who's gay or not, on and on and on. And everybody blurts out a bunch of truth going down, and just truth blasted all over this airplane. And then the plane levels out and doesn't crash. So now they're all staring at each other after they've just said their darkest, deepest secrets. Yeah. Just blurt it out. The plane's going down.
Let's make sure we share a little bit about Vegas. It's what brought us here.
Well, let's get some. Yeah, okay.
You're a lot of, people here for that. All right, let's open it up, everybody. So you know the drill. If you have something to say, all you do is just use the raise your hand feature like we're doing right now. If you can't figure out how to use it, you can just unmute yourself. You can say hi in the chat. You have a question, whatever you need to do, get our attention. And we'd love to hear from anybody. Any questions, any comments, any shares, anybody going through it out there, needs a coaching moment, it's all available to you.
When did we lose the ability to tell each other the truth? At what point in all of this? And that's something for your family to look at. When did it start? How did it start? When did we stop being able to talk without yelling at each other? When did it start? Look and see, because it started. We all know, I hope you know, and hope you understand that we all are recovering from the dishonesty. What we allowed, what we said, how we rationalized. I always say, if I could give any of you the DVD, just 20 years ago, put the DVD on and go, this is what it's going to look like in 20 years. I think people would be horrified. I think people would say, please, no, that's not what I want. Unless your kid is, of course, now in recovery. But prior to your kid being in recovery, prior to the truth coming out, you would just look at that and go, no, that's not me. No way would I buy my kid drugs to keep them well. No way. No way would I allow my family members to live in their room for 24 hours a day and not come out. No way. No way would I do these things. And how do we get there? How do we begin to do the things that we say, no way would I ever do? And it's one lie to ourselves at a time. And it's one thing, one lie to make it easier on yourself that day. Today, it's easier for me to say yes, and I'll just do something for somebody, or it's easier for me to save them. And then the next day it gets a little easier, and it gets a little easier to the point where we've been eroded away. We've been eroded to a point that we're allowing things in our life that we would have never allowed, that we would have been horrified to see. And so how can it not be that the antidote is stop lying to ourselves? How can that not be true? I can tell you guys about Vegas. We did expand to Las Vegas. You're getting a glimpse at where we do our groups here at the Vegas house. The reasoning for transitioning to Vegas was we're going to start working on people's gambling problems. No, that's not it. No, it was we were limited in opportunities in Washington State, and there was no more. First of all, leasing a house and finding space in Washington State is 100% impossible. Nobody is going to lease their house to a sober living this day and age in Seattle, Washington. They all have HOAs. They won't allow it. Somehow the HOAs all have overridden landlord tenant, it seems, and it doesn't matter your age. HOA is the most powerful thing in the world today. It's more powerful than the city. It's more powerful than the state. The HOA is the most powerful thing. They will take your goddamn home. I'm telling you. And they'll take it for the fact that you didn't paint one of the boards on your fence the right color. So we had to get away from the HOA and begin to find space. And we found when we came to Vegas to look for that space, and then we had to get away from the weather. So we went to either Vegas or Arizona, and then we found that in Vegas, we could get in a big house, a nice space for a lot less than we were paying in Washington. And so it's gonna, and plus we want different opportunities for different people. We want people to be able to find a new state if they want it. We want people to be able to find different opportunities. And we love it here. So that for that reason, we did that. But, Kyle and the Kent program are going real strong. It's remarkable how well they're doing up there. Maybe my own lying to myself, have to figure out if I hoped that it would do good or do bad without me. I had to, but I've gotten to a place where I'm pretty damn happy that it's doing good without me. But there's that. But no, it's been smooth. We're really cranking down here. We're cranking at Kent, and I hope that maybe as families that are listening, I'd like you to tell me if you don't agree, or I'd like you to tell me if you find truth in what we're saying here, because if you do, you can see the pathway. It's just 3 levels of honesty. And we as a family begin to look at these 3 levels, and we just begin to work the formula. We just look at it. Let's go. Let's get together. We're going to have to solve this thing about how we talk about the past and we fight about it. We got to solve that. We talk about the past, and it's like we're talking to people that weren't there. And that's across the board. The way the parents explain it, the way their kids explain it, I don't know who was there or not. And I'm seeing 2 different worlds. So we have to get to a point where we can quit arguing about the past. And we can't do that until we come to some reality agreement. It's how we determine truth when there's no facts. A reality agreement. When our facts differ. When did the delusion start? The delusion, the dishonesty. I've never actually been able to tell somebody that's delusional that they're delusional. It's never worked. I've tried several times. They never agree with me. I've never said anyone go, yes, I am. I am delusional.
Hey, Carrie, if you start your video, I can put you on spotlight.
There you go.
There. Okay.
Jesse has a question also.
Okay.
Great. Let's
Carrie can go first.
yeah, no, Desi.
Okay. Sorry, I just want to, I guess, reconfirm to you how you helped us in the being truthful with ourselves and also with Bundle. One of the things that you said, and I don't know how early it was on in our couple years with you, but if you're in this program, you only get honesty and you don't deserve, I forget how you put it, but basically you don't deserve anything less than honesty. So buckle up and get ready for it. And you gave me, and I believe Doug also, the power to never flinch if we think we need to be honest. And I think it's been kind of one of the critical points in our journey. And it's made us more comfortable because there's none of that illusion about, oh dear, I've got to dance around something today. It's like, not dancing, got questions, and we're going to have a conversation.
That's right. And it takes an understanding of yourself to see when you're confronting this gaslighting or these things that is going on. And there is a lot of that gaslighting stuff about when you tell them about themselves or ask a question about what their motives are, or ask a question about what they're up to, and they begin to talk to you about how shitty of a mother you are or whatever. Yeah.
That won't happen, and you know that.
Yeah. But we have to look at our motivation for why we would break down and why we give in and why we don't keep going. And, there it is, life showing us, to the people that do break down, because you do along the journey, you have times where you back off and you break down and you don't keep going. And to those people, why do I do that? The payoff is it's easier. The payoff is sometimes it's easier to not tell the truth. It really gets me through the day, being able to just go, I'm not going to deal with it right now.
Yeah, and I also think for Bundle, it's been a positive too, because I think in many instances, he just knows it has taken away the opportunity for him to have to figure out what dance routine he was going to use when we were in the thick of it. He just knew that, we're going to have an honest conversation now, and mom's, the gig's up.
Yeah, the jig is up. That's true. Yeah.
So it's
and notice, again, that truthfulness coincided with recovery.
Yes.
Both showed up at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you did a little coaching.
Yeah. Well, I just bring out the truth.
You do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
That's it. Thank you, Carrie.
Yep. Good job.
Nice to see you.
Bye.
Thanks, Gary. All right, Jesse.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, how do we come into agreement if both parties think the other party's delusional? Maybe the parents are overreacting, and they're delusional. Because they're making the problem out of nothing, and then they think that the kid is delusional because they're saying, pregnancy isn't that bad, it's not going to lead to death or institutions or whatever. So both parties are taking the other party's delusional. So how do you come into agreement with that? But then I was just thinking that the agreement would be kind of how and why, and maybe deeper than that. And you come into agreement that, like, hey, we still love each other, and come into some terms. And then I don't know, as she was talking, I was just thinking, I grew up in a Bible home, and then also, been around a lot of natives, and both kind of say to respect your elders and stuff. So bottom line, maybe just the agreement would just be we got to respect our elders. Age is a big thing in native culture, and the Bible too says respect your mom and dad, you'll live a long life. So I mean, as delusional as they are, maybe I just gotta respect them more.
No, I think the answer to this idea, and there is something, we have to sprinkle in humility. And what humility states is it's possible that I'm wrong. There has to be a possibility. You know, if two parties come together and they both think that there might be a possibility, maybe not that I'm wrong even, but a possibility that I don't see 360 degrees, that I don't see the full picture, that what I see is my limited 10% vision of how it went down. But I don't see the full picture. And there has to be enough humility that people can talk that way and be open to the possibility, a 10% chance that your perspective is just your perspective. That it's, and that another person's is important. I had to be open to, I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear what my sister had to say about my father. But my sister explained to me that she was raised 12 years before me. And 12 years before me, my father drank quite a bit. When she called my father abusive, I couldn't believe it. And I didn't want that to be true, and I didn't want to hear it. And then she explained to me what happened. And she explained it. And so what I got from it was 12 years before me, my dad was way more fearful about being a parent. So he was fearful about how I would turn out or how Shelley would turn out. He was fearful about how our family was going to turn out. So when we're acting from fear, anger shows up. And so I had to listen to her. And when I came to all that, I saw a different picture than I'd ever saw. But it took me years to be able to get to the point where I even wanted to listen. I just didn't want it to be true. And I think a lot of these things are about what happened and getting honest with each other about what happened. A lot of them are wrapped up in our identity. A lot of them are wrapped up in who we are. And if it didn't happen the way we think that happened, what would it mean about our life? It's like the rug being pulled out from under you. You mean my reality didn't really occur like I thought it did? Yeah, that's true. I wasn't seeing the whole picture, and I never will. So getting to the point where we can at least talk to each other like that. Getting to the point where we have enough humility to admit that possibly there's a 1% chance. And if there's a 1% chance that I'm wrong, or a 20% chance that I'm wrong, if there's a 20% chance that I'm wrong, I don't think that there would be much righteousness in that conversation. But what happens is people are pretty strong about their perspective being the right one. And they have no possibility that it's wrong. And at that level, we're in a stalemate. We're just done. Nowhere to work from. So humility has to be injected into the situation. And humility is the antidote for righteousness. It's the opposite. It has to be. Who's next? Thank you, Jesse, though. Great question. Mr. Smith, you should stay off your phone during solution group.
Oh,
Shit.
got him.
Got him
You
for
see?
me.
You see? There's cameras. There's cameras. We're watching. Yeah. Who's next? Come on, guys. Don't be shy with me. Let's go. I'm looking at you on the screen. Come on.
All right, can you hear me?
I can.
I want to thank you guys for putting up with me on Saturday when I was down there. Kind of it was really nice meeting everybody.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
great.
you guys are great.
We're still hoping that Brady will come to his senses and show up at your doorstep.
He texted me yesterday.
He did?
Yeah.
Well, it's more than I got.
He said he got to get his head straight and make his parents happy.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, I
He,
guess.
he needs to be happy.
Yeah.
Back in Palm Springs, but he's living in his car. That's not going to last too long. He likes more creature comforts. So I think that swimming pool and the nice place you got down there might be a little enticing to get them back over there. I don't know.
Well, that I usually think, you know how living in the car always turns out. It's almost 100%. The car always gets towed. Once the car gets towed, that's when they come in.
Well, I hope
So-
it didn't get left. I forgot all my tools in the back. I didn't take them.
Oh no. Well, it's gonna get towed, Dave. I'm pretty good at it. Yeah.
$600 for the tools I took down there.
Mhm. It'll get towed. Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're got a kind of a group T-shirt going, little group shirt going here.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's Nike.
We got 2 Nike and 2 Adidas
And-
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Dave.
All right, guys.
Come on, guys. Who's next? We got 10 minutes, 12 minutes.
I'm
Oh,
wearing a
Monica.
pants, Nike shoes.
Oh my God.
Monica, then Pam. And Yvette.
Okay. Yes, you were talking about the truth, and right now I'm working on getting my son into treatment, and I am trying to express how I feel, how he makes me feel. And like you said, then says no. I mean, how do you get where the understanding where each other understands each other's opinions? I feel very taken advantage of, and he just doesn't feel that way.
So remember when I said that when addiction shows up and you have to deal with an addict, your low spots or your weaknesses will be exploited, right?
Yes.
And so it starts with maybe when we're trying to get an addict into treatment, not always the best time. That's not the time for maybe sharing our thoughts and feelings so much as beginning to build a fortress of no, or beginning to build some type of wall about what direction we're going here as a family. So we encourage you to get a consultation so we can guide you in that. We'll do it over Zoom, and we'll guide you. We'll guide you in how we go about the business of getting them into treatment. Now, once we get a person into treatment, this is when you start this pathway between, and the talking can begin. But it's very difficult to speak to somebody on drugs. Very, very difficult to speak to somebody in active addiction and get honest with them. With people in active addiction, it's easier just to get them into treatment. We can show you the way to do that.
Okay. And he actually has just started taking Suboxone to stop taking the drugs.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. He's supposed to be in treatment within a week. It's a state thing.
Yeah. Well, we'll get you. We'll get you on
Okay.
Zoom.
All right. All right. Thank you.
All right. Pam,
Hey, Pam and Dave,
then
let's
Yvette.
get you
And Danielle.
unmuted.
Okay, I think we're unmuted. Yep, we're unmuted.
Yeah.
You tell me to be careful what I say.
So Art, I just want to make a comment about your talk and how Chris has progressed throughout the years and living here now, and he's working, and I mean, we have a great conversation, and he's a lot more truthful and a lot more honest with us.
Yeah.
And I don't think that would have happened a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So we've come a long way, and of course he's come a long way with everything that's happened in the last couple of years. So my other point is we kind of feel like because Dave had an accident at the end of December and fractured his femur. We weren't on during your solution group, so we feel like now we're kind of out of the loop. we missed something, and we feel like you guys deserted us.
We missed
No.
you.
Yeah. Well, I'm a lot to miss.
Long story short, Daddy Monks wrestled the program away from Art.
Yes.
He's
No,
not
we'll
here.
be back every month. We'll be back. We're going to do a live solution group every month. We're going to do group coaching every month. We're going to spend a lot of time in Washington. We haven't left Washington. We're going to split time. So this was the only way that I saw that we could get more space and expand. I can't buy enough houses in Washington to keep up. There's no way. And in order to expand the program, this was the only way that I saw. Like even Oregon wouldn't work. California didn't work. You know, it was Arizona or Vegas, basically. That was it. We need space. I mean, we are completely full, and we just opened up 8 more spots a week ago.
Wow.
And we're still completely full. So the need is there, and we got to make sure that we're filling it. And we do groups every morning now with Kent. So we're all on Zoom like this every morning, and they're getting the same information at Kent that I'm giving here. And we're talking about the same things. So it's working out pretty good.
Well, I truly hope that the leaders in the communities that you're engaged with down there recognize the opportunity for you to come in and significantly improve the area by what you do.
Yeah, that would be great. And we're going to begin having Becky come down and having more battlefield mothers come down and getting out and doing the outreach and getting more families help down here.
Well, we know up here, even if you weren't in an HOA, there'd be a lot of backlash because people don't want a house that has people that are trying to recover from anything.
Yeah. You know, I found that in Washington, people will stick up for recovering addicts. People will virtue signal. People will say how much they care about addicts. But these same people do not want a treatment house in their neighborhood.
No, they do not.
You know, and they don't want any addicts around them or anything. I mean, they care deeply. They're going to save them. They really think we should, not trigger them, and we shouldn't force them out of their tents. And they think that we should, we should call it a disorder rather than addiction. That we should call it, all the things. We shouldn't say junkie. We shouldn't continue the stigma. They all real care deeply about that, but their neighborhoods are addict free.
Right. Yeah.
So, I don't know.
We know better.
Yeah, to me, the way I prove that I love addicts is they're around me all the time. That's why. That's who I hang with. So that's how you prove yourself. You care about. I see all these people in Seattle really, really caring about the homeless problem, but zero have took a homeless person into their house.
Yeah.
I mean, they care enough to talk to virtue signal and say what we should be doing, but they do not care enough to house one. Now, I've took in a lot of homeless people, and I'll tell you, don't do it. But
A lot of fun.
they'll ask you what kind of bread you have, and they'll ask for an upgrade. The free bread you're giving out here isn't my liking.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Art.
Not always true, but it's just been my experience taking in homeless. All right.
Let me answer Karen's question real quick. Karen, Sheila just asked, are you going to be speaking at the in-person solution groups? Yes, absolutely, Art will be. We'll be flying in each month. Now, we're not coming in. I will be coming in April, and I will be there at the shop with the crew while Art Zooms from Vegas. But come May, we will resume monthly in-person solution groups. We just needed a little time to make sure that things are solid here before we're both gone at the same time or whatever.
Sure.
So May 16th will be our next in-person solution group at Orion, and absolutely Art will be there.
Okay. Great.
And following night will be our group coaching in person on May 17th. And in between now and then, we are going to find new creative ways to do things like group coaching, to do some creative new things. So this really opens up an opportunity for new stuff. So watch for new stuff.
And we're going to be constantly improving the quality of the Zoom. That's what our thing. We're going to produce a better show. So
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
yep. All right.
So we got you. We haven't gone anywhere. We're still there. We're here. All the above. Make it all
Okay.
work.
Yvette,
Fun new stuff.
Hey,
what's up?
I just wanted to say hi, and I feel like with Cameron, we're getting to a little bit of a point where I feel like the cracks are starting to show a little bit, and I have some suspicion of what's going on, and just trying to figure out next moves. And from your talk tonight, it would be honest about it and have that conversation. But was wondering if you've got any ideas. My suspicion is she's smoking more and more pot again.
Yeah.
She's otherwise clean, but that's one that she just holds on to, and I don't really think it works for her. And you can see this change in behavior and attitude and motivation. And then along with that comes the like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, it's always the same formula, and at this point, you really, I think with Cameron, we've been trying to do makeshift recovery. And that's just the problem. She's trying to do it in a makeshift fashion. She wants to do everything in recovery except the recovery part.
Well, and she did 30 days inpatient, and now she's done, I don't even know what we're on, outpatient.
Yeah.
She's been every day for probably a couple months. So
But she did do 30 days of inpatient?
yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good.
She didn't want to go to Washington, but we got her to go to one that was on our insurance, Concord.
Yeah.
And I thought they did a pretty good job. It had pluses and minuses, but they got her sober. They talked about a lot of things, got her moving in the right direction. And then she was growing tired of it. So I said, okay, we'll make a plan. Which plan is not coming home. We even tried to get her to go to sober living, but to your point, we couldn't find sober living. Nobody would even return our phone calls.
No. Yeah.
I got one return phone call and said, we're completely booked. And everybody else just didn't return any calls. So I can imagine.
Business must be good.
What's up?
Business is good when I stop returning the calls of my customers.
Right. I'm kind of thinking I should turn my house into sober living.
That's my rant. We came down here, and business is good for people nowadays. I don't care what they're saying about the economy, but for corporations like Lowe's and Walmart and all these places, business is good. Business is so good that they've now removed down here anyone that will check you out at a check stand.
Oh, seriously?
So there's no more checkers. It's all self-checkout. So you go to Walmart, buy $200 worth of groceries, and then you got to work there.
Wow.
You have to figure out how to scan shit and look and forget about it when you're getting the fruit. I mean, you got a basket full of produce and fruit, and you got to sit there for an hour punching it in. And your complaints, by the way, as a customers in this world, as anyone, our complaints fall on deaf ears to these places.
Well, it's a good thing you're not buying alcohol.
Well, we went to buy one of those the Blackstones for the house, and so we went to Lowe's, and I saw it was only self checkout. What am I going to do? I can't even bring the box up there. What do? So I wanted to complain, but you sound like such an idiot complaining now, because not only does the store not care, the kids working there can care less.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. The customer always right. That quit in like the 90s. I think mid 90s, the customer stopped being always right. That doesn't exist anymore. So now the customer is lucky to be there.
So tell them we walked out.
Oh, so I walked out of Lowe's
Said
and
forget it.
we drove to Dick's Sporting Goods, which had a checker and really good customer service. And we bought the Blackstone there. So, until we all stop buying from these places, just crazy. How much money does Walmart need that now they had to eliminate the jobs that Walmart was providing? I mean, we need so much money we can't even pay employees anymore, and we've made record profits. You would think they would be getting 2 checkers per aisle and letting people have more jobs and benefits and actually, caring about their service, but no. And I think that one day this will all end and the businesses that did us wrong like this will go away. Hopefully, be satisfying. Danielle.
Hi there. I don't know, Amazon's doing Amazon Go, which is no checkers at all. So
Incredible. It sucks going in and having to do that. Yeah.
Blackstone's Amazon.
So I had 2 things. One was a question about Vegas. Is there plans in the future to do in person there too?
Well, we don't have any Vegas families yet. We got to get some.
Well, I mean, by the time I get home, sometime maybe next year, I might stay another year. We'll see. It'll be over a year since I've seen any of my family, so I would come visit and see Mason. And if there was in-person group, I would like to join in person if you had it.
You just come here to the house and we'll put together a group for you.
Yep.
All right, perfect.
We do group whenever it's necessary.
Yeah.
Perfect. My other thing was to comment. Jesse said something that really triggered me, and he made the comment that just because somebody's older than you, that they deserve to be respected, and that just hit me. I'm like, no, it doesn't. And so maybe you can comment if I'm triggered wrongly. I mean, I was abused by older men, so I don't agree with that statement at all, that it doesn't earn you respect just because I'm older, that I too have to have actions that are respectful. Am I triggered wrongly here or something? It just minute he said that, it just went, "Ugh."
I just think that it's an individual thing, that getting a person to the point that respect, whether the respect is what it is, in actuality is another person's opinion of the aggregate of all of our behavior. So respect is now an opinion, a subjective by the other subject, and it's their opinion based upon everything they've ever seen you do, everything they've ever seen you be a part of. And that determines how much respect the person has for you. And respect is like the stock market. It goes up and down, and you can gain and lose it. And so to understand respect, I think respect your elders probably came about by elders who weren't being responsible for being respected. It's a quick thing to just say when maybe I'm not making any sense, when maybe I'm not getting respect, and I go, well, you should respect me because I'm your elder. Well, but then in some cases, some cultures, they actually do it properly. They have respectful elders, and people respect their elders. And I just think maybe in America, we're not as good culturally as maybe other cultures about that.
Yeah. Okay. That was my only thing.
Thanks, Danielle.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, yeah, I'll just recap a little bit, and if you're offended, and which people might be offended, that I might consider the possibility, or I might ask you to consider the possibility that all of our problems, that everything that we're dealing with as families, that one, everything could be solved by truth, and two, that most of our problems might not be our problems. That in actuality, there are solutions. And, you know, if I'm a person who can state that I have an anger problem and then act out anger all the time, that might not be my problem. The act might be my solution. It might be how I survive. It might be how I dominate. It might be how people fear me. It might be how I deal with my insecurities. And this is true for almost anything of these bad behaviors or these problems that we're doing. So all I'm asking is to look at these 3 levels of truth, take your family through the pathway, begin to have these discussions privately and together and at dinner and at lunch. And what else is there to talk about other than these levels of truth? Other than one, can we complete the past? Can we please complete the past so we can move forward? Secondly, can we then begin to keep up and share our thoughts as they come in, our negative thoughts, our positive thoughts, and then can we do it in a way that we're not being righteous? And then third, can each individual in this family stop lying to themselves? Stop saying that your problems are your problems when you're not doing anything about them, when they're not changing. And look at that very suspiciously. When a problem persists, there's always a reason. And you know, you have to look at homelessness. The problem of homelessness will persist. I can 100% guarantee it will persist. And the reason why is because homelessness is not a problem. Homelessness is a solution to a massive amount of people. Not only the people that are living homeless, having their solution to be free, not wanting to be forming society. A lot of people that are homeless love being homeless. They love it out there. We see it here. They would rather, you cannot drag them into a home. We've tried. And a lot of people that are helping the homeless, because that's not some problem solving thing. That's a solution for the people helping the homeless. It's a solution for my identity. It's a solution for who I am. It makes me feel good about myself. So I can very surely tell you that homelessness will not go away. That it'll only get bigger because it's not a problem, it's a solution. And if we solved it, we wouldn't even know what to do tomorrow. There'd be millions and millions of people running soup kitchens out of work. There would be billions and trillions of dollars that we needlessly throw into the air, not solving homelessness, but spending it on homelessness. So you see, when a problem persists, whether it's with me, a problem I have, or a problem the world has, I have to get suspicious about why that problem persists. You know, one of the problems that isn't one of the big problems in the world was fires. Fire is a big problem. But fire is not a solution for anyone. You know, maybe the one guy that prides himself a fireman and decided to start setting fires so that he could put those fires out and feel like a hero. Yes, that's a solution for him. But for the most part, we've solved the problem with fires, and firemen spend very, very, very little time putting out fires. A lot of time not putting out fires and doing fire prevention. So you see, same with addiction. Is addiction my problem or is it my solution? Addiction will persist because it's a solution, not a problem. It's a solution for the people using drugs. It's a solution for the people that help the people. The problem persists. See? So now we have to get honest about ourselves, about our problems. Are they actually my problems or are they my solutions? And so, you know, and I'm not saying firemen don't put out a lot of fires. I know he's on here. I know Michael puts out a lot of fires. But for the most part, you know, it's better a day as a fireman to not put out a fire. And so I just hope that this helped you and that, you know, you can start as a family connecting to the one thing that we have to connect through, which is one, the current moment, or the two things that we have to connect to, which we've been saying for years, truth and presence. We've been saying it for years, and say it's the only thing the program requires. The only thing the group requires is 1, you to be present and available, and 2, to be truthful. And I think that that's the antidote to everything that we're recovering from. So thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody. See you moms tomorrow morning. Good night. Good night, Mr. Run. Good night.
Did Mocha give